Hello and welcome to A Critical Dragon, where I talk about narrative in film, television, and in books. And today I'm going to do another video talking about aspects of writing that can help us as readers. And what I want to talk about today is the related concepts of main character, protagonist, and hero. And the thing is, in a lot of stories, those three can either overlap or be exactly the same and be fulfilled by the same character in a story. But the reason we have these different terms is they help us distinguish different elements. So let's take the easiest one to sort of set apart: hero. A hero is a moral judgment about a character. A hero is intrinsically good. And then you can add various other descriptors to it, like flawed hero, which means they are a hero, but they have flaws. And that quite often makes a very interesting character. Anti-hero, that they are the opposite of a hero, not a villain, but they are the opposite. They will do the good thing, but maybe for the wrong reasons, or how they accomplish the good goal is through ends that we don't, or the means we don't ultimately agree with. But hero is a moral judgment about the character. Main character, as you would think, is the focus of a story, because obviously stories have characters in them. Well, the vast majority of them do. And main character is focusing on one, saying that they are at the center of things. And then we get to protagonist. And this is where we get into some interesting territory. So protagonist is in essence the main character. They are the first sort of, that's where the pro part is. Agonist, actor, the main actor of the narrative. And the protagonist then is the focus of actions and drive in the narrative. So the protagonist is almost always the main character. Now, one of the interesting things is obviously narrative continues to evolve and get more complex, and authors play with concepts. One of the things that has come out of all of the experimentation done with narrative is that authors sometimes separate out protagonist and main character. If the protagonist is the one that is driving the action, then they don't need to be the main narrative perspective. So think of this. Think of a Batman story. Batman is the hero, or if it's a very dark Batman story, the anti-hero. And they could be viewed as the protagonist. They're going out and doing something. They're taking action. But what if the story is told from Alfred's perspective? Alfred, Batman's sidekick, butler, helper, is not driving the action. It's all about his actions supporting the hero or the anti-hero, depending on how Batman is being depicted. So Batman is driving the action. Batman is the one doing all of the things, but the story is actually focused on Alfred and what Alfred is doing and reacting and helping to support. So we could maybe say there is a separation between the main character, the focus of the story, which is Alfred, but the protagonist, the one taking action, is Batman. And it helps us sort of distinguish between these roles. Of course, someone could say, well, because Alfred is the center of the narrative, they are the one who is now the protagonist, because they are the center of it. But this can then be complicated by the fact that the protagonist is frequently challenged by the antagonist. And so in the Batman story, Batman might be trying to take down the Joker. So Batman, protagonist, Joker, antagonist. And actually the story is told from Alfred's perspective and is focusing on what Alfred's doing. And Alfred's the main character. The Batman and the Joker are kind of almost secondary. They are in the background of the story. We can see this kind of play out in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, with Hamlet walking around in the background, where Hamlet is obviously the main character and protagonist in Shakespeare's Hamlet. But in Stoppard's play, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, Hamlet is a bit player, a step on and step off part. So you can see how playing around with the concepts can actually create a lot of nuance. We frequently use these terms as synonyms, and yet if Batman is an anti-hero, we can't really describe him as a hero. So that's why you would avoid that. If the main character and focus of the story is actually Alfred, then Batman might still be the one driving the action, but Alfred's the perspective that we're staying with, and it's the impact on him that we're concerned with, even though Alfred is reactionary. So, protagonist, another way of thinking about protagonist, instead of simply main character, is thinking about the protagonist in terms of driving the action. That the protagonist has desires and needs and wants, and the actions that the protagonist takes are to achieve those ends. And that drives the narrative forward. It gives the narrative direction. And that usually makes quite a compelling protagonist, as long as those needs and wants and drives are tied into the beliefs and desires in the internal life of the protagonist. But if it is then contrasted with the antagonist is usually operating in the opposite direction, trying to thwart the needs, wants, and desires of the protagonist. And you can see why that's a nice, neat pairing. But consider this. Batman is usually reactionary. The Joker is the one who's going out and doing things. The Joker has plans. The Joker is trying to achieve things. And Batman is picking up a series of clues and acting to thwart the Joker. So the Joker is the one that's actually driving the action. Batman is always playing catch up. In a lot of respects, Batman is actually reactionary and, in some respects, passive. So when an author is trying to create protagonists and antagonists, quite often an antagonist is actually the location of where a lot of the narrative action is being derived from, and the protagonist is actually being reactionary. Now, if an author is not careful, if it is always the antagonist driving things and the protagonist is constantly waiting for something to happen and then reacting to it, the protagonist becomes very passive. And this is one of the criticisms we often have with central characters or main characters, where we feel that they're always reacting to stuff and they're never doing things themselves. They're constantly passive. We prefer protagonists in general to be active, to be doing things. So that's why, even though the Joker has these plans and is doing stuff, Batman goes out to find information, is trying to get clues. That Batman, although the action is actually being derived from the Joker's plans, we are following Batman's actions as he tries to uncover. So you can see the subtle shift of emphasis away from Batman simply reacting to what the Joker is doing to Batman trying to thwart the Joker and take proactive steps to thwart the Joker's plans. And so this gets us into that very interesting territory about how the interplay of all these things happen. Protagonists typically dictate or push forward the narrative, the direction of the narrative. Antagonists are acting in the opposite direction. Now, that doesn't mean that they are trying to stop the protagonist. It could be the Joker is trying to rob a bank, Batman is trying to stop the Joker robbing a bank. The Joker isn't fighting Batman. The Joker is trying to enact a plan, and Batman is trying to stop him. So the antagonist is not trying to stop the protagonist. In fact, the reverse is frequently true. The protagonist is trying to stop the antagonist. And that can be a useful distinction to bear in mind. It can be a useful way to understand the motivations of characters and understand why sometimes when we are reading something or watching something, we don't get on board with what a protagonist is doing. They are being too passive. That can be something to look out for. Or that the protagonist is doing things as if they have knowledge of what the antagonist is doing. And that gets into the knowledge gap between the different parties. And that, again, it's one of these things just to be aware of. If a protagonist is meant to be driving the action, then that's where we expect action to be situated. And the protagonist should have active desires and goals. It's what makes, in general, a very compelling protagonist. And as I said, if the point of view is with a secondary character who's following the protagonist around, they can end up being the main character. Now, it is very, very common for the protagonist and main character to be exactly the same character, but it can be that the commentary is coming from a supporting character. And because they are at the center of the narrative, they are the main character, but all of the actions are actually being promoted and driven and forced forward by a different character, a protagonist. And you can see why now it is useful to have these distinctions, because one of the issues that we have is literature is not just the books that we have read. Literature is all of these books. And because authors, let's face it, are tricksy, they like to play around with these concepts. And if we use protagonist and main character synonymously, we're losing out on an ability to hone in on why certain characters appeal to us and certain characters don't. It makes it more difficult. But if we can separate out those roles, we can say that this one character is both protagonist and main character. And we can use one to talk about and focus on directing action and responding to action, and the other, the center of the narrative and where the narrative is located. And this is why we distinguish those two things. Main character and protagonist are distinguished from hero, because hero has a moral judgment associated with it. Whether or not we agree with the main character, whether or not we agree with the actions of the protagonist, they can be those things. But if we class them as hero, that is a moral judgment being applied to the morality of the character. So if you have a narrative from the perspective of a traditional villain, let's take, for example, the Joker. This is a Joker story where Joker is a bad guy. The Joker may be the hero of his own story, but for us, the Joker is the villain. The Joker is villainous. He is not a hero, even though he thinks of himself as hero and Batman as the villain, because Batman is the Joker's antagonist, and the Joker is the protagonist in this Joker-focused story. So you can see using hero and villain is going to depend on relative morality, protagonist is going to depend on the action, and main character depends on the focus of the narrative. And just by understanding that, there are different ways to categorize these, different ways to use them, but this can be a useful way to split apart different aspects and roles of that character within a narrative. And then when you consider, say, a narrative that is roughly equally split between, let's say it was the Joker and Batman, if they have roughly the same page count, roughly the same word count, how do you say which one is the protagonist and which one is the antagonist? Because depending on which point of view you are, the antagonist will think of themselves as a protagonist because they're at the center of their own story. And that's where hero and villain can come in. And again, the hero will often think of themselves as hero and the other person as villain, because we rarely think of ourselves as the villain of the story. Now, again, authors play with this. They have characters that will think of themselves as the villain, that want to be the villain, that want to do the bad thing. And that is one way of doing it. But it is more natural for people to think of themselves as justified in their actions. We tend to think of villains as taking actions that are unjustified. And that's how we're applying the morality to it. But if someone thinks that they are perfectly justified in what they're doing, they don't think of themselves as a villain. So thinking about all of these things in terms of the psychology of the character, authors and writers can match up the psychology of the character to forward their goals. So the character will think of themselves as protagonist and quite often think of themselves as hero. And I know that's me roughly like talking through things very, very quickly, but I think you can see the usefulness of thinking of hero, protagonist, and main character as three separate roles that can be played with and moved around, because it gives us flexibility in how we're categorizing the actions of the character, the focus of the narrative, and the moral judgment that we are applying to it. So each one aids us in creating a nuanced discussion about a particular character. But I know it was a whistle stop tour. I just think it's useful, and it's one of those tools that we can wield just because we are more aware of the nuance of how we can use the terms, and it helps us discuss things more accurately. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Thank you for your continued support, and I will see you in the next one.